book Interrupted has been nominated for a People's Choice Podcast Award. We'd like to thank our fans for all your support.
Mind, body, and soul. Information is the goal. Try to learn something new without being distracted.
I don't know. I feel like I'm just toying with it in my head about like the timing of reading a book by an Indigenous author and then the current climate of Canada right now with the continual confirmation of these unmarked graves. I just feel like we just need to acknowledge at least the grief and the experience that is happening all over the land right now. I don't want to make it anything about us, but I don't want to not have it said because it's happening right now. And I feel like to not at least recognize would be a misstep.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
Just so devastating every time I pick up the news and hear more about this, and that we didn't know, and that we should have known. Like, I should pay more attention. That's all I have to say. I just can yell.
I think also the fact that thing that's upsetting, I think too, is that the Indigenous people and population, after doing the reconciliation, what is it called again? The
Truth and Reconciliation Report.
Yeah, it said how many they believed were in unmarked graves, and it still wasn't really hitting like the media, and it wasn't something talked about. And now that all these children are being found, I'm toying with that too. Like, why it wasn't an issue when it was just people telling us this is what happened, and now it's an issue being like, oh, we've proved it. So, like, I think that's hard too. I
think it's just another reflection of the shitty way that Indigenous people have been treated the entire history of Canada, right? They didn't not know. It's not a big discovery for them. It's not a surprise. It's a confirmation. It's a finally a confirmation. They've been saying it, right? And other people knew, the people in the residential schools, the policy making, like it wasn't that we didn't know. It was known, and it was still ignored. And that is what's disgusting. And that's probably why there's a feeling of yuck, and there should be, right? Because I don't know why all of a sudden it's coming out now and it's being like confirmed. I don't know what the timing is on examining that first school. I don't understand the story behind that. But the story now is, this isn't a surprise. These aren't discoveries. This is finally some kind of, almost like that white fragility. Like maybe somewhere, somehow, it's become movable where it was immovable before for the Indigenous population.
I just feel yuck that personally, I didn't do more or learn more, or I think that's, I'm not bringing white women tears into this or anything. I'm just like, why didn't I do more? And that upsets me.
The acknowledgement. It's the acknowledgement that I was part of the problem.
Yes.
Because I wasn't part of the solution. And
yes,
I was
exactly.
What's the word that I'm looking for? But sorry, what's the word when you're like, when you're just okay with things being the way they are?
Complicit.
Yeah, complicit.
Complicit.
I was just complicit. I didn't, I had a bad feeling. I've had a bad feeling for many years about how Indigenous peoples are treated in this country. And I just let it be that. I didn't go and learn more and be part of the solution. And that's that yuck feeling, that sense of disgust with the situation and with myself.
The sense of shame.
Yes.
The shame. Like, I knew about the residential schools. I had like encounters with people who had been to residential schools, and still, like, I felt for them, but that's as far as I went. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't do any actions, right? So
grateful because we did white fragility, because it's making us be able to do this right now. So it's hard. And of course it should be, right? But it's completely applicable, right? This would be the Canadian version of the white fragility, I guess, but because we kind of, I guess, understood the white fragility experience when we did the book club then as white versus black mostly, I guess, and it's totally applicable to any minority, I guess, right? Any non-white person. And in Canada, I think that shows up with Indigenous populations just as much, if not more. And then I guess that makes it more personal for us. We could have still observed our white fragility a little bit separately, maybe, I don't know. But I'm grateful for that. And then I'm also, it's so interesting how this like recognition of this tragedy, because it was a tragedy all along, is now allowing this conversation. So like this cracking open, this painful cracking open won't be for nothing, I hope. The guilt or the shame we feel, the lesson that I learned in the beginning of the white fragility, I was stuck in my shame with those books. And through talking about it, even in ways where it's like this conversation, I then was able to click over into guilt. And once we're there, then we can focus on reparations, and how individually we can do better, stumble forward.
Mm-hmm. Right. Stumble forward. Okay. So
are we all gonna cry now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fucking sad, right?
It's
just so sad.
It's sad isn't even the right word.
What's worse than sad? Like what's bigger than sad?
Devastating.
Yeah.
Well, at least now we've got the motivation to start, all of us looking at, like all 6 of us, I'm going to include Leah, of course, I've never been more motivated to learn about all of Canadian history.
Yeah,
and
me too.
And we can start with this book. So
right?
Thank you, Kim, for choosing it.
Yes, we can have one voice.
Also, just for listeners, the University of Alberta is now giving away their Indigenous Studies class for free. If you want to learn more about the history of Canada.
Like, I think that's one. I think that's one of their ways of reconciling. That's one of the things.
And it's always free. Oh,
I think it's always been free. Like I heard about it back in the beginning of Corona shutdowns, that it was free.
Okay.
I don't know if it's always been free, but it was definitely free then.
I know it's free now.
It's neither here nor there. Take the class.
It is free now. Yeah. I'm taking the class, so it is free right now. So, yeah. Okay. Wow. From the ashes.
Book interrupted.
This interruption is brought to you by Season 2. Let's just do a little flipperoo here.
Oh, what do we have? Direct from the Amazon link on the Book Interrupted website. What the Robin Knows. Talking to Strangers. Burnout. Oh my goodness, so many books. What happened to you? Ooh, this is a different kind of book. Oh my goodness. Could any of these books potentially be read for the following season on Book Interrupted? I guess you'll have to tune in to find out.
On Book Interrupted.
Is it racist because this is an Indigenous author and I automatically feel like we have to talk? You know what I mean? Like I was just so, but I was like, it's better to not acknowledge, I think. Like we better acknowledge, and if that's outrageously wrong, then fine. If someone says, yeah, like, look at you making everything, you know what I mean? Like one Indigenous person, like, I don't know, right? I was overthinking it for like the last 10 minutes, but I was like.
I think it's important to talk about it. And we brought it up in the, we just did a blog about it, and so I think
one felt like it might be disrespectful to not acknowledge it while also talking about a book by an Indigenous author. But I don't know, is that racist?
Well, no, at the beginning, hold on, let me get the book for a second.
He put something about residential schools, in his form.
At the beginning of the book, like he says
dedication. and
Yeah.
dedication.
Oh, maybe we should say that.
She
You want me to tell the?
Yes.
Hold on, where's? I will read the dedication in 1 second when I find it in my thing. The dedication of the book is: this book is dedicated to the families whose loved ones are taken or disappeared or lost to them. Those forever watching for their loved one to return home. I watch and wait with you. It is also dedicated to Indigenous children who grew up with no sense of themselves through projects like the 60s Scoop, residential schools, adoption, or other such separations from their nuclear family, during which they were robbed of their Indigenous identity through no fault of their own. The pages of this book speak to the damage colonialism can do to Indigenous families and how one's indigeneity is stripped away. People can make poor choices informed by pain, loneliness, and heartbreak, choices that see them eventually cast upon the streets, in jail, or wandering with no place to be. I dedicate this book to you. I walk with you. I love you. I know the loneliness and frustration you endure. And he says, lastly, I dedicate this book to my wife, Lucy, who loved me back into the circle. This also goes out to my brothers, Josh, Jerry, and Daniel, my mom and dad, and my grandparents, who gave me a fighting chance. Our circle is strong. Our fire burns. This book is but a torch from the hearth of our clans and is hopefully enough to light the way for others to follow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. I forgot about that because I'd read it again a year ago. So
Yeah.
that's obviously relevant. Okay, good. I must have known somewhere on the inside.
If you've enjoyed these video highlights, listen to the full episode on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified when new episodes are published. Find out more by going to www.bookinterrupted.com.
Book Interrupted.